back in the shop today to highlight a special van build. One of the things we like to do when a customer first reaches out to us is talk about what's the mission for your van, what's its intended use, and what's your vision here for your dream adventure vehicle. When this customer reached out to us, he had a vision for long-term travel, both on and off-road, as he moves into retirement. So with that in mind, we began designing this van with the customer. Together, we landed on a 170-inch wheelbase all-wheel drive Sprinter, and we'll talk about the layout inside when we move in. But first, we want to cover all of the components on the exterior of the van. Nearly all the vans that come through our shop get an Agile rip kit. We found it's a great solution to deal with two problems that Sprinters experience once we get through with a van build. They're typically undersprung and underdampened. The Agile rip kit adds a coilover up front, new leaf springs in the rear, and Fox shocks all the way around. It's been a great solution for van builds for ours for years. In addition to the rip kit, this customer upsized tires. So they went to a 275 70/17, it's our most common van upgrade, Toyo AT3. We also built this van with Agile Overlander HD 17-inch wheels. Another component we'll cover while we're talking about the outside of the van is the 45-gallon fuel tank. So as most folks know, Sprinters come with a 24.5-gallon tank. That gets you 300 odd miles of range, which really isn't enough for an adventure vehicle. There's a few solutions to deal with that. The most common one is the S&B 45-gallon extended range tank. So that's what we've opted for here. We like to talk to our customers about what needs do you have for exterior storage so that we can design the rear of the van together. Here we've opted for an OWL B2, which carries the OWL Monster Box. That's on the passenger side. On the driver's side, we've got a ladder and tire carrier combo, also by OWL, which gives the customer roof access and then also pulls that spare tire from underneath the van where it's hard to reach, especially off-road, and puts it on the back of the van where it's easy to get to. The last thing we'll address on the outside of the van is the roof rack setup. So this van has a Flatline Vanco rack with Baja Designs 50-inch light bar up front and Baja Designs S2 scene lights all the way around. We've gone with a Fiamma 45S awning, and then on top the van, there's solar, of course, and then there's Starlink, so you have connectivity anywhere in the world. So let's take a peek inside to see what layout this van has and what options we selected. One of the things I'll point out before we go in are the amp steps. We find these are great. Even in Tahoe, where we get a ton of snow, they work great. They're tucked up out of the way, unless you need to get in and out of the van. And then we install a switch so that you can lower them or raise them as needed. Our customers essentially fit into two camps. Those who say, I don't need an indoor shower, and those that say, I can't live without an indoor shower. This van is the second camp. So we have an indoor shower, which essentially starts to set the layout for the whole interior. The next step when designing a van interior is how many do you need to sleep? And that could set up the inside layout. That could add roof access for sleeping quarters up top. Here, this customer only needs to sleep 2. And so we have rear sleeping north-south, we call it, behind the cabinets. The next place we go when designing a van is to determine how many need to be seated while it's moving. For this customer, most of the time, that's just 2 people up front. But he wanted the option to take 2 additional people. And because it's infrequent, we selected the seat we did, which swivels out of the way and can be lounged in facing outside. It can be turned to face forward for road trips, and it can even be removed, which takes us to the next step, which is the flooring system. Here we've opted for the RRE Global Smart Floor, which is the foundation for nearly all of our van builds. It's configurable with different locations and numbers of in-floor L-track to meet your needs. Let's talk about the galley next. There's typically two options that get discussed. You can do a driver's side galley and free up the door space, or if your seating configuration is better suited for a slider passenger side galley, like it is in this case, you end up with a design like this one. This is quite a large galley, and it's designed that way so it'll accommodate this 130 liter fridge freezer from Isotherm. On top of the fridge, we've got this 2-burner 110 volt induction stovetop. Of course, we have a sink and then ample storage below the countertop. Let's talk about the shower next. So what we have here is a one-piece fiberglass inner with an aluminum shell. The shower is actually about 30 inches by 30 inches, so plenty of room inside, and it's over 6 foot tall. Some customers will opt for a cassette toilet to go against the back of the shower, and other customers will opt for a removable toilet like we have here, which is a dry flush option. In the rear of the van, we have the power side on the driver's side. So here we have a 600 amp hour, fully integrated and engineered Victron power system. In fact, with the Starlink or with Wi-Fi, we can do diagnostics on the system from our shop wherever you are in the world. So that the customer has fast charging between stops, this van also has a secondary alternator to power that 600 amp hour system back up. On the passenger side of the van, we have the water system, which has a 63 gallon capacity. We get hot water and hot air from our S-bar hydronic furnace. That furnace, powered by Rixson controls, has 4 air diffusers, one of which is in the shower. So if you would like to use the shower as a drying room, you can. Between the wheel well cabinets, we've got a slider tray. This can be used for storage that you want to pull out from the rear of the van. You could put mountain bikes or other gear in it, and it gives you this access without having to climb through your van to get to your gear. A major concern for most van customers is storage, interior storage. Where do I keep all my things? This customer opted for upper cabinets in the sleeping area on both sides, which provides a ton of storage for him. We've also have uppers up in the seating area, and we have this upper cabinet that has a microwave. As we look at the ceiling, you'll notice something a little bit unique about this van. It has 2 ceiling mounted fans, and then in the center, we have a Velvet 2000R air conditioner, which provides an opportunity for a ton of exhaust when it's cool enough, and then AC when you're on those warm nights. Another great opportunity for storage are the inside face of the rear doors. Here we've opted for the Van Essentials door storage system. An important consideration for every van is natural light. You'll come across a lot of vans out in the world where they just feel dark inside and not super inviting. Here we've opted to do dual bunk windows in the rear, and then more importantly, we have both driver and passenger side full-size windows in the area you spend most of your time during the day, and it just creates a much better environment for hanging out in your van. So our van controls basically have 3 user interfaces. The first one we'll look at is the heater. And what you'll notice here is we can turn our hot water on. We could turn our furnace on, which is set to 85 degrees, so it's going to come on right now. We could set our fan speed, and then if we wanted to, we could heat the hot water and the van with electricity. We could do this while plugged in at a campground, or we could do it from the batteries. I can actually hear the furnace running, so I'm going to turn it off. We can hear it shutting down. The next interface is your power system. So there's an overview here, which gives us a quick snapshot of current state of charge. It also shows us how full our water tanks are, both fresh and the gray. The next face gives us our current state. So are we charging from solar, or if the van's idling, is the inverter off or on? What's the current state of the van? And then lastly, a detailed look at the water tank capacities and their current state. And then if we have any alerts, there's no current alerts, but they would appear on this last screen here. The last user interface is our Switch Pro, which is how we control all of the lighting and other accessories, both inside and outside. From our secondary Switch Pro in the sleeping area, we could also turn on the light bar on the roof, the rear scene lights, either driver's side or passenger side scene lights, our interior ceiling lights. We can turn on our water pump, power up the Starlink, drain the sink, drain our shower, switch between water tanks, or turn on our onboard air. Another important feature of the Switch Pro is that it comes with an app. So the app on your phone mirrors this switch layout. So if you're laying in bed and you hear a noise, you could turn on the exterior lights. If you need to get up in the middle of the night, you could turn on the interior lights. All the capability of your Switch Pro is right in your phone. We're very happy with how this van turned out, and we're super excited to see how the customer turns it into his adventure vehicle and starts to share with us where he travels to and how he gets to use it. One of the things that's important to us when we develop a van is that it's very light and very quiet. The aluminum cabinet package in this van allows us to complete the entire build in under 2,000 pounds, and it's silent while you're driving down the road. As we wrap up this van tour, I do want to cover some future upgrades that this van may see. If folks really want to get off-road and push the limits, we recommend an air locker. It's a magic button, it gets you out of trouble, and it'll take you to places that you didn't even think a van could get to. In addition to the locker, we encourage customers to consider a nice winch bumper. The CA tuned winch bumper is our go-to. This van will likely see that upgrade in the future. Another common upgrade that a lot of our van customers opt to do is the Agile Big Brake Kit. This van's actually so light, it probably doesn't need a big brake kit, but most vans that come through our shop are heavier than this and benefit a ton from the stopping power of those larger rotors and calipers. If you have a van project or have questions about what we could do to design your adventure rig, reach out to us at sierraadventurevehicles.com.